Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smashi Business Show. I'm Warid Ahmed.
And I'm Abdul Majid.
And it is February 11th today. It's a Tuesday. And our topics for today are absolutely great. So firstly, we have Tabby. So Bloomberg reported that they are possibly considering an IPO. And secondly, Etihad is going to list soon. And finally, Leap is doing absolutely great. In just one day in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, they have signed $14.9 billion in deals.
Yeah.
But anyways, how are you doing, Majid?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. No, I'm doing well. I've just been having, to be honest with you, reflections lately. Majid, you know that term like, you use it. Of course you know it. That term that's like the world doesn't revolve around you. I use it too, by the way. And you know, there was a lot of people that I used to critique for being so self-obsessed.
Yeah.
But then I had this like really deep realization of you succeed more when you're self-obsessed with your own life. When your life actually revolves around you. Because if your own life does not revolve around you, don't you think that's kind of weird? Because then, you know what that means? Because your life does not revolve around you and you're not focusing on your own self, you're focusing on other people and what they're doing and the skills that they have and the opportunities that they've gotten and how their life story has impacted the way that they've become. And do you understand what I mean? You're not focused on yourself because and you know why I really do believe in what I'm saying. I've been in situations before where I'm with another person and we meet a wealthy person and they tell us about the great achievements that they've had, and I'll respond by saying, you know what, man, like I'm really happy for you. Like I'm glad it worked out for you. And by the way, I'm truly so glad. Like I'm not somebody who I don't experience envy. I don't get envious. I really don't care. And then the
You're
person
lying.
Not really.
Every human being at some point
of course,
goes through it.
I get what you mean, but there's
how you balance it out or how you like counter it is the main thing. Everyone,
of course,
you have to go through the spectrum of emotions.
But it's kind of this thing of I don't care that much. It's not that I don't envy you. It's more of a I don't care about you, so I don't have time to envy you. Does that make sense? It's not more of a I don't feel that emotion.
Yeah.
It's just more of a I'm on my own journey. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm envious of the person I'm about to become.
You basically follow the idea that I'm minding my own business. You mind your own business.
Yes, minding your own business.
Yeah.
Some of you need to do that more. But anyways, and the person beside me while we're meeting that wealthy person is like, "Oh my God, why don't I have this but they have that?" And then they'll follow the route of they have this because of the fact that they were raised this way or they were given these opportunities that I didn't have. And I think that mindset is honestly, by the way, so ridiculous. I don't agree with that mindset. I think there is truth to it. Of course there is, that certain people have reached to the points that they've reached because of the fact of, upbringing, being given certain privileges that other people don't have. But when you meet somebody else, your first thought should not be, they have this because of this. It's, okay, what skill set, what personality trait, what's something that they have that drove them to the point that they are in. That's, by the way, that's what I think. Yeah. Like when I meet certain successful people, but their families have always been successful. Honestly, Majid, I don't look at their upbringing and the privileges that they've had, but rather I sit there and I'm like, what's a certain personality trait that they have? Whether, it's being really open-minded or and being open-minded is so important. A lot of people are not, by the way. And open-mindedness, it's not just about accepting people, but it's about accepting people's ideas. Yeah. So I actually look at the trait that the person has. I really do. Like, I analyze it. I'm like, okay, how can I develop this trait and how can I be better as a person? But what do you think about that? Do you think that your world should revolve around you?
Basically, we're just telling you guys that you shouldn't complain.
No,
that's the gist of it.
It's not that I'm
if
saying
you don't have
complain.
anything, just build something from scratch. Everyone has a different story. Some people start from 0 and they reach 100. Some people start from 90. Again, they are born with a silver or golden or maybe a platinum spoon, some very rare earth mineral spoon. And they have a lot of backing. My idea of life is very simple. Again, I would go for suggestion to a person who never had a fallback option and then he built something. For me, people who've always had a fallback option and then they built something great. So I look at them, I appreciate it, like, good job, whatever you had, you built something from this. But I believe the truly inspiring, motivating stories in Hollywood, in Bollywood, in any word, any cinema even, and even in real life, when you look at people and you see a person who's literally built something from nothing, those are the actual inspiring stories. For people, I'll give the very famous example that I love is Trump said, "Oh, my father kicked me out of the house with $1 million." Okay, everyone would want a father like that who would kick them out of the house with $1 million.
You know what
So
this,
you starting from a place of privilege or a place where you got an advantage over like millions and billions of people, and then you built something. Okay, I appreciate what you built. That part is good, but you built something on the backing of something. You didn't come from zero literally.
You know what this
and then
is
built
actually
something.
reminding me of? So just this morning, we published this news story, and it's regarding Hussein Tajwani. And basically, right now, if you don't know, the
Funny
World
story.
Government's it's a funny story. The World Government Summit is going on, and yesterday was
Day zero, and
yeah,
today
day
is day
zero.
one.
Yes, today is day one, and it's going to be, I believe, until February 13th.
Yeah.
And Hussein Tajwani was there. Mohammed bin Ghati.
A lot of people were
Sheikh
there.
Hamdan, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, my best friend Eliazi Meheri was there. So there were a lot of people who were there. But anyways, back to the story. So basically, Sajwani started telling everyone about how, there was a time where his business was incurring like 98% in losses. But this is where it gets really interesting. The way that his business was saved and the way that he was able to actually pay his employees and come up with salaries is because his financial advisor suddenly found 20 million dirhams in a bank account in Bahrain. And I just remember when he was saying it, it just really sounded really hilarious. Like, oops, like, I just found 20 million dirhams in a bank account in Bahrain. And keep in mind, like, this is years ago. 20 million dirhams
That
years
was a
ago
lot.
is worth a lot of
At least
money.
it was double in value.
Like, how could you? And to be honest with you, by the way, when I was listening to that story, I was like, listen, like Hussein Sajwani, I love you. I love what you've done. I'm a part of the Damac Hills group. I love Damac Hills. However, I think there's an issue with his financial advisor, because why would you forget that there is 20 million dirhams in a bank account in Bahrain?
See, you saw the human side of the story, but for me, the main idea was never put all your eggs in one basket. And that is what was being done by his financial advisors. So it was actually a very clever move that they put money somewhere. Obviously, when you put so much money into a bank, you get interest, compound interest. You build a lot of money over the money that you already have.
Yeah.
And most probably that money may be in some kind of fund where it was generating more money. So he didn't put all his eggs in one basket. So imagine if that $20 million was in the Mac accounts, he would have lost that too. So very good, very nice lesson out of this funny story that he told, that you should have like diversified investments, because you never know, one business can one day suddenly, we saw in COVID. COVID is like the best real-time recent example where businesses worth millions and billions shut down in a day because they couldn't live with COVID. Events industry completely shut down.
No, it's not even just COVID, Majid. It's also like wars. Like
Wars,
I see this very clearly in
For
Sudan.
underdeveloped nations, war, where these things are happening.
I'll give you an example. Like, for example, I know this business in Sudan. It's basically known as the Saeed business.
Okay.
They're really big giants, by the way. They basically do like chairs, biscuits, like chips, like any kind of all that good stuff. They have it. And you know what basically happened when the war in Sudan hit? I believe they had over $25 million in cash, in what's it called, in a safe in the actual factory, all stolen, all gone. And the people who had their money in the banks, there was no money.
Yeah.
The banks were destroyed. And to be honest with you, I even remember, like, they spoke to us and they said that, the biggest regret here is that we didn't diversify. we didn't place our money in like different countries, and we should have expanded our business at least into like Egypt, which is very close by to Sudan. So no, I think you're definitely right about that. But just like getting back to today's topics, for the first one, I know that this is close to my heart. I know that it's close to many of your hearts. It's about Tabby. And Tabby's story, it's very inspiring because, it's one of the first, buy now, pay later platforms in this region. But let me tell you what actually happened. First of all, it's Saudi Arabian based, and basically Bloomberg reported that they are preparing for an IPO. And this is big news because of the fact that like just last year in their funding round, they were valued at $1.5 billion. And it's really big. It's crazy. But it's just really beautiful to see because imagine for me, Tabby, quite literally popped out of thin air. Just out of nowhere, when I was like, when I was just ordering online, every single website, Tabby. And it's like, it just popped out of nowhere.
They just had the first mover advantage in the region. Vard asked me the question before the show, and I think we should Google it, but who was the first ever BNPL service in the world? Most probably it was a Western company from the West. But the good thing about these guys is they brought it to the region, but they didn't just copy-paste the idea. They localized it in the form of interest fee payments, in the form of Sharia compliant payments, because interest in Islam is haram. So they brought it and they localized it. That is why their success is so much bigger in this region. And Tabby has a very long story, but very short. Hussam Arab, he's the guy who is behind the whole idea. The main thing is Tabby was in Dubai. Tabby started in Dubai, but they found that their biggest user base was in Saudi Arabia. And then there comes the point of IPO. They wanted to list here. Obviously, wherever you're based, wherever your head office is, you want to list in that place. If you think that that's the best place to invest in and get money from the people. But their biggest user base was Saudi Arabia. So 2023, they moved to Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia is their headquarters. So that's the good part. But then I think there's another motivational factor in their moving. It's not just that they had a lot of Saudi users. It was also that Saudi Tadawul market is bigger. So when you talk about DFM is one of the smallest markets in the region. ADX, EGX30, Egypt, Abu Dhabi's financial market, ADX, Saudi Tadawul, even Saudi's parallel market, which is for the small startups and small SMEs, Nomu, that's even like nearly as equal to DFM. Obviously, DFM is a new market. They're trying to grow. Kuwait's Bursa, which is also Kuwait's stock market. We have Oman, Bahrain. We have a lot of markets here. But Tadawul is the biggest. And Saudi Arabia as itself is a bigger economy. So I guess it was a very nice move from him to move from here, set a base, new base in Saudi Arabia. The main news out of this is they have hired a lot of banks. There's a whole list. Let me open it so I can tell you. So now, according to Bloomberg, they have asked HSBC Holdings PLC, JP Morgan Chase and Company, and Morgan Stanley. They've hired the banks, and this is like the initial process where you ask the banks to like evaluate the process and see how much can it be worth, how much we should ask for. And if you go with their last evaluation, which is 1.5 billion, maybe I think they would be asking for at least $1 billion also on the evaluation. But they can very easily raise 500 million right now. That's the main idea. Whatever your evaluation is, you usually raise 10 to 20% of it. But they're trying to float 20 to 30%. Again, not confirmed. It's just reported that they're trying to float between 20 to 30%. Whatever is finalized, we'll let you know as soon as we get the final number.
Well, like, don't you worry, though.
Yeah.
There are more IPOs that coming, for everyone who's very money hungry.
Yeah.
There's the Etihad IPO that's going to be listed very soon.
But my question, I remember we did the discussion a long time back when you joined for the second time. Tabby. Do you believe in buy now, pay later?
No, I do not.
Right.
I remember there was this one situation where I was just at university, and then this one kid, and he was talking about how like, he works, but like obviously when you're that young, you don't make that much money. And he has a girlfriend, and he was like, listen, do you know what like helps me, take out my girlfriend and like still take care of myself? I was like, what? He goes like, Tabby. No, sir. And then I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I tabby everything.
Yeah.
Imagine he tabbies everything. Like this shirt tabbied, this gift tabbied, and we just all looked at him like very concerned, like how many things do you have on Tabby? I just would personally not do Tabby because it's in the end of the day, like I'm gonna incur the expense. It's just coming next month. Why not do it now?
I think it's a very good idea. Again, it's in my brain, it's like a credit card because I'm very scared of credit cards because I don't want to spend what I don't have.
Really?
Not scared, but this is how my brain works, and a lot of people who are
And
not
you're
into credit
comfortable
cards,
with it?
their idea is that don't spend what you don't have. Because there may come a point when you're overburdened with the debt that
But
you
it
raise.
doesn't have to work like that. You know what
Yeah.
you can do, Majid? Because the reason why people, by the way, use credit cards is because of the benefits that they give you.
they give you
like
a lot.
free airplane
Yeah.
tickets. Like you get so many benefits. And do you know what certain people do? They have like more than one bank account, and for their credit card, what they're actually taking from their credit card,
Is the
that's
discount
actually
and all that,
yeah.
yeah.
That's their actual salary that they have in another bank account. And so once they reach a certain limit, they just take that salary that they would have anyway spent and they put it back into their credit card.
Yeah.
And just like that, because you keep spending like that. No. By the way, this saves people's lives.
It
Do you know how many
needs a
people
lot
I've
of
seen?
discipline. See, I am a very spendthrift kind of a person. Sorry, not spendthrift. I'm a very royal kind of a person. If I have a
Royal?
salary, in my brain I am a royal. If I have a salary and I have a credit card, I'll spend both of them, and I'll be like, okay,
Ooh,
now
what
I am
happens
in debt.
next? What do I do?
So people who have discipline, they can manage they keep the salary in their account and they spend from it and then top it up. But I don't think I'm that kind of a person. I don't have that kind of discipline
But
in
you
my
need
life.
to have that discipline.
Yeah. Financial discipline is very necessary if you want to grow.
By the way, we're constantly speaking about how, all of our payment methods, our writing methods, everything has changed because of technology, correct? Everything has changed. But Majid, the effect that it's having is actually horrid. I remember when I was a bit younger, my parents would always give me cash in my hand. You know, they'd be like, Ward, here's 50, here's 100, go out with your friends. And me and my best friend were having this conversation, and she was telling me how her brother, obviously now everyone has cards, we all have Apple Pay. And she told me how her little brother, her mom gave him 500, and she told me that her siblings have no concept of money. And it's because of the fact that they didn't grow up like us, like you, where we get handed cash.
Yeah.
And so we know what's something worth. They grew up with that, that ting, you know what I mean? Honestly, it's so satisfying. I love it. I never use my card. I never use my card. My card, I don't even know where she is right now. I use Apple Pay all the time. By the way, guys, Magic does not use Apple Pay. He does not believe in it.
Not
the
even
point
Samsung, Google. I
no,
don't use
that's
any pay.
wild. But Magic, just the sound, that satisfying sound of just Apple Pay being there. Oh, I love it so much. But those kids, they have no concept of it. And then she told me that her brother spent that 500 as if it was just nothing. Yeah. And she told me that he does not understand because he uses his phone and he doesn't actually deep it. When you're handed cash in your hand,
you count it and you
that's
see the
concrete.
physical,
That's concrete money. And then you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I'm worth much more than I actually am. Right? You know when you're holding cash in your hand and you're like, oh, I feel so rich, but no, you're not.
You give 500, you buy something for 50, they give you 450 back, and you're like, okay, I'm rich.
No, but I think
the actual value of money, financial management is one of the biggest, most important topics that is not in our schools.
And
not
by
in
the
our
way,
curriculum.
it starts from a young age.
Yeah.
It starts from a young age. If you are from a young age not able to manage your money and save up, it apparently follows you into adulthood.
It's a very basic idea, but the idea of pocket money, monthly pocket money, is financial management. You give a kid, this is the amount that you have for the month, I don't know how, survive. But you give them the food, all the other things you take care of, But you give them like a certain amount and be like, go manage this month, save from it, eat all of it. I don't care. It's just yours. Do whatever with it. This is your financial independency that I'm instilling in you. But in Asian culture, it's not there. There's no concept of
Even in our
the
culture,
whole
by the
region,
way.
like Asia is a very big region. There is zero concept of pocket money. You just go there. I need this for this, and I'm like, okay, go.
But you know what? By the way, a lot of parents are starting to do it, and the way
Yeah.
that I noticed it,
You need to teach
the
your
way
kids financial
the way that I
money.
noticed this, it's actually when I was a sales associate. And Majid, you know what parents were like doing with their kids? I remember like so many kids would come like running into Lush, and they're like, "I want a bath bomb, mom and dad," and then their parents would be like, "Okay, use your pocket money and buy it." And then you know what the kid would do? They'd pull out their wallet. I'd see them pulling out their really sad 100 bill, and that's the only bill that they have, and I feel really bad. And then they look at the bath bomb, and they look back at that 100 bill, and they
can
look at their
use-
parents, and their parents are like, so is that really what you want to spend your 100 on? A bath bomb that's going to be gone in one go. One bathtub, that's it, gone, dissolved. And then the kid looks back at their parents, and they just really sadly walk away, and I don't see them.
But in the longer run, they will realize that the wants and the actual needs are different. So you need the money that you have, like 100 dirhams, for example. The first thing that you should spend it on is your needs, the basic needs. And then if you save something, then you go for
Yeah,
wants.
I do
so
agree
they're
with
getting a
you.
good lesson in life. But yeah,
But
this
anyways,
is the story.
back to
Tabby,
something that
yeah.
we
Just a small thing, just randomly remembered. Tabby
Yeah.
recently also has partnered with Dubai Government Services. So now you can pay your, I think, Emirates ID fee and all that stuff. The government services of Dubai, you can pay all the fees in 4 parts now as well. So Tabby has partnered up with them as well. So yeah. They're big. They're everywhere.
They are very big. But
Yeah.
anyways, there is another big one that's going to happen soon. So Etihad Airways, owned by ADQ, is preparing to list 20% of its shares on ADX, Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange, as early as this month. Now, this IPO could possibly raise up to $1 billion, valuing the airline at around $5 billion. Now, this in itself, it's really such good news because of the fact that I feel like more people need to realize this. When a company is actually able to IPO, that means it's actually doing financially well and that it can afford to do so and that people would be really interested in buying from it. And I'm just really intrigued by, is it going to fall low, below the actual expected price or right above it? It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. Etihad, first of all, sorry, I just
Yeah.
remember who is the head of ADQ. I told you,
Sheikh-
whenever I say any name with Abu Dhabi in it,
Sheikh
Sheikh Fanoon
Fahnoon?
heads ADQ.
Oh,
It's
wow.
one of the sovereign wealth funds.
Oh,
so.
wow. I see. Wow. So basically, he owns Etihad Airways.
Yeah,
An
but,
international holding
yeah,
company.
so
And
Etihad-
G42. There's a lot going on there. It goes deep.
No, and it's very, to be honest, I was having this discussion with someone and I was like, yeah, these guys own a lot of it. But I think with Royals owning a lot of stuff, there's a lot of accountability as well. And that is why these companies are doing really great. Because people under them, they will not lag in
Yeah.
work. They will
Yeah.
do the best of their work because they eventually know that someone from the royal family, His Highnesses, they own the company and they will come and question that what is happening, why are we in loss or why is this a problem. So
I completely agree with you
somehow
in
agree
that
with the
sense.
idea of this.
I do.
And we also talked about it that Emiratis.
Especially the royals in this country.
Yeah.
I truly believe that they have a magical hand. And
Yeah.
anything that they just wave their wand at, like, oop, it's perfect now. It's
Yeah.
absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in so many
And
projects. There's so many evidence
this
to back
stems
this.
from the idea that we have a small population of Emiratis in the UAE. Nearly 85% is expats. I won't say 90%,
Yeah.
that becomes too much. But the estimates are between 80 and 90. Everyone does an estimate. But they're in small numbers. So what I've realized is as they grow up, they're prepared for leadership positions. They are born and they are prepared from, like we were just talking about financial management. They're just from birth prepared for leadership positions, and that is why they're such nice leaders as well. They know how to manage money, they know how to manage people, they know how to manage businesses. So that's a really great thing for the people of the UAE who are the nationals here. And expats, obviously, we also get a chance to live in the world that they've built. Such a nice world, to be honest. But coming back to Etihad, the main thing about Etihad is that it's one of the national carriers. It carries the UAE flag. It's Abu Dhabi-based airline. So obviously, when the IPO opens, it will be oversubscribed. One, it's nearly a surety. And again, not financial advice, but it's nearly a surety that it will be oversubscribed. To be honest, what I believe is they will have cornerstone investors, some big people, some big companies coming in and already saying that this part of the IPO, this part of the shares is ours already, and they'll commit the money in the start. So I don't think Etihad, a company like Etihad, will come down to a retail investor, an individual investor like you and me. It will go to the institutional investors and the big guys who will, before even the IPO goes live, they will invest in it. But it's good that they'll get an injection of cash and eventually they will make their services better. That's the main idea for it.
But more so than all that, Majid, to be honest with you, I'm just really happy that there's opportunity for investors in the market. I think that, for a lot of people in the Middle East, the more IPOs that they see coming, I mean, the wave of people that's going to usher into the country is something that it's not to be underestimated at all. We always, I always hear it over, by the way, over over conversations, over tea, over coffee, of people saying what should I invest in? And we are telling you what you should invest in. It's these companies that are coming up.
Again, not financial
really
advice,
important.
but yes, still, we can just only suggest that these companies
I'm not
are doing
suggesting, I'm more of just saying that the market in the UAE, the market in the Middle East, you guys have so much opportunity here. And it's a successful market, and it's only going to get better.
And the most important thing that I've realized over the years, like now, since seeing the biggest Talabat one, Lulu going on ADX, a lot of big IPOs. Nice One, Rich mentioned, I remember. Nice One is one of the first biggest e-commerce IPOs that went live on Tadawul. So these new IPOs, new industry IPOs, like an e-commerce platform going for an IPO is it's not like rare in the world, but it's very rare in the Middle East that you hear an e-commerce platform going for it. So the main thing is they're paying dividends as well. Usually it's not the case. Not every company which goes for an IPO, they'll be like, okay, buy our shares and keep them and we'll pay you a dividend, certain dividend on it. And Lulu, I remember, it nearly went up to 70% of the profit. So whatever profit they'll get, they'll nearly give 70% of back to the people and 30% will be reinvested into the business. So you get dividends out of it. That's the most important thing. So you're getting extra money. You just hold the shares and whatever number of shares you hold, you'll get money over it. It's not just that your shares will appreciate as well. So that's a very good idea right now.
It is a very good idea. And
it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. That just to tell you, because we're talking about so much financials, someone may take it that we're saying, no, they're great. They'll make you a millionaire in a day. Crypto can, but that's not even a good place to invest if you're not into it for a long run.
You know what's so crazy about crypto is that, just recently, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, he did an interview with Carl Tuckerson, and he said that, I don't like crypto. I don't trust crypto, and I don't believe in crypto, and I think that you can invest in a billion things, but I'm never going to invest in crypto. And then what's even more entertaining is that he proceeded to say, I believe it was JP Morgan, the head of JP Morgan, and he was like, he doesn't believe in crypto either. But I feel like we're all forced to believe in it and invest in it because that's the way that the world is moving. And that's a timeline that we also need to move in to catch up.
His idea is really great. The logic that he has behind it is that if I can't take that and spend it on something, then what's the use? Because stocks, you can actually go to a bank and say, see, I have these stocks in this company valued at this, give me a loan. And you can take loan on the bank, from the bank on the basis of the stocks that you have in different companies. You can't do it on the basis of crypto. And there's only a few number of countries which are like completely crypto friendly, and you go anywhere and you can pay with Bitcoin or any currency. So El Salvador is one of them. There's like very small 2-3 nations which are completely crypto friendly. You can literally go and just pay with crypto. But it has to become completely, like we're talking about all the pays, Google Pay, Apple Pay. As soon as crypto becomes that everyone is paying in crypto and everyone is accepting crypto, which will happen like in at least 4 or 5 years, that's what I think, then you will Mr. Al-Walid bin Talal will 100% invest in it, because right now his logic works out that I can't buy anything in it, why would I hold it? So as soon as that happens, then obviously he will also invest. So that logic will become fallacious at that point.
Yeah.
So let's see, future,
We will
no one
see.
knows the future right now.
Nobody
it's so
knows the
complicated.
future, but we all
Yeah.
know the present. And right
Yeah.
now in Saudi Arabia, it's going crazy. So
Yeah.
Leap there is happening. It's a summit. It's happening in Riyadh. And on their first day, they have signed $14.9 billion in tech investments. I mean, the amount of investments on this list, it is so difficult to just throw it all at you. But, I'm going to start. One of the ones that really stood out to me is that Grok, which is backed by Elon Musk and Aramco Digital. They signed a $1.5 billion investment to build the world's largest AI inference node in Saudi Arabia. You have Databricks, who signed a $300 million investment to roll out PaaS services for developers. And then there's honestly so many names here, but those that really stand out to me are Lenovo, you have Hawaii, it's like all the Google Cloud, it's like all these tech giants are coming together and they're coming together in Saudi Arabia. And this is not the first time that we're seeing this. At the end of 2024, Apple announced that they're going to start opening their flagship stores in Saudi Arabia. So it's just beautiful to see that they're seeing the opportunity here.
Yeah.
By the way, I've never seen a summit that's this busy.
Yeah.
I saw it from the videos, and the people there, they have this like infectious energy to them, Majid. They're so excited. They're so excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
Not only are foreigners actually coming into Saudi Arabia and they're excited about the change that's happening, but it's the people there. They have this energy and they're welcoming it, and they're so excited to see it happen, and they want to be a part of it. And it just really made me happy because, I was just at Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival very recently. And so to see Leap like this filled, this big, obviously, of course it is, it's Leap. It's amazing to see, women and men alike all there. And they're ready for the change that's gonna occur, a part of the Vision 2030 strategy.
So today is day 3 actually of Leap, and
That
Vert
went
gave
by
you a
so
whole
fast.
update of day 1.
That went by so fast.
Yeah, day 2, so day 1 was 14-ish billion,
Yeah.
day 2 was $7.5 billion in deals, and majorly it was about tech and AI investment. So day 2, the big thing that I saw, again, Datavolt is a company which in collaboration with Neom announced a significant investment of $5 billion, and they'll establish the first fully sustainable AI data center in Oxagon, which is part of Neom. So this is that one story that caught my eye. Zoom, the thing that became so big in COVID because of Zoom meetings and everything is now, let's Zoom it. Zoom has pledged $75 million to drive AI innovation and establish new data centers. So what they're doing is, in Saudi Arabia, they'll set up their own data center for their own services. So that's a $75 million investment, which will fly into Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia Railway also announced a $51 million investment in a private fiber optic network. So a railway company investing into fiber optics, again, diversification at its core. So a lot of things are happening at Leap. Obviously, everyone is trying to gather as much information, as many MOUs that have been signed, as many things that have happened, which are very important. And eventually in the future, like 1 or 2 years after, we'll see something happening because of these memorandums and these deals. So we'll keep you updated. Day 3 has started. More billions and more deals will surely 100% come out of it.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about that tomorrow as soon as we get the press release and the numbers and the
we will.
announcements. So you can look for everything, all the details, whatever the summary we have from the day. We put it in our newsletter and push it out, so you can subscribe to it.
Yes, please do. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production under the Augustus Media Podcast Network. As Majid said, you can find our newsletter on Smashi TV, and please follow us on all of our channels. Tune in for tomorrow.